Hey YouTubers, so I wanted to make a video about how to check a Mule Pro. This is a Pro FXR valve clearance. I didn't have any luck finding anything online on YouTube, so I found the service manual someone had put on a Dropbox, and I'm doing this myself to save several $100s. They'll try to charge you like 8 hours of labor if you take it into the dealership. So real quick, I've already taken out screws, and I'm going to show you how to get this valve cover off to get to the valves and show you what to look for. So first you're going to take off your oil cap. That's got to be out of the way. This top plate here covers up your spark plugs, your spark plug wires. So there's 6 screws here you're going to take off, just a standard Phillips head. This plate then comes off. Again, the cap has to be off to get the plate off. Okay, I've already taken the bolts out of these, but they're 10mm socket head bolts. There's one back here that's kind of unique. I used a deep well socket on that one. Spark plug wires that pop off. They're incrementally measured in length, so it's not real hard to figure out which one goes back. I'm going to set those aside. Okay, I've already taken these bolts off around the sides. You may have to use a little screwdriver to pry this off the first time because they use an RTV or something when they're putting it on the factory. This top plate comes off. Okay, just set it over on the side. Keep it down to keep it clean. All right, so here you got your camshafts. This is your intake side. This is your exhaust side. One way of knowing what's exhaust is trace the muffler back. You can determine which one's the exhaust. All right, they tell you in the service manual to use a wrench to rotate this camshaft. I don't really like manually rotating things inside engines, so I've just been looking over the top of the cab and turning the ignition every time I need to get to the next side. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to get two parts of the camshaft that are coming to a point and facing straight up. You're going to take those measurements first, write them down, and then you're going to go rotate the engine a little bit more with your key and wait for the next 2 points to come up. And what you're looking for is, go ahead and get in here if you can. You're looking for the spacing between the bottom of this cam and the top of the valve. So go on Amazon, buy you a thickness gauge. I think I bought this one for under 10 bucks. You're also going to want to make a printout of this view right here so that you can just write your measurements down and the date. I did this in case the dealership ever wants proof that it was checked at 20 hours. I've read some things on forums about how if you don't take the measurements and don't get it measured and you ever have engine problems, you might have warranty claim issues. So I'm documenting this for future use if ever required. And all I'm doing is I'm writing down next to each cam shaft position what the gap is. So in your manual it tells you valve clearance intake side 0.13 to 0.23 millimeters. So the median of that is 0.18 millimeters. The exhaust side over here 0.2 to 0.3 millimeters. The median's 0.25. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my feeler gauge and I'm going to go look for that median first. And right now I'm going to measure the exhaust right here because I think the camera can show that the best. The outtake or the exhaust median is 0.25. So I'm going to look on my feeler gauge. I'm going to find 0.25 millimeters. Going the wrong direction. Okay, 0.25 millimeters. Checking one more time. Exhaust happens to be this golden right here. So I'm going to stick it at this angle underneath this guy right here. And he's not, well, yeah, he is kind of going in, but he's really tight. So we're going to go down to 0.23, I think. Measure him. 0.23 goes in real nice, and see I can move it back and forth. Does the camera show that? I can move it back and forth. So my gap between the bottom of my cam and the top of the valve right there is 0.23 millimeters. So That is within the range of being acceptable for exhaust, which again is 0.2 to 0.3. I'm at 0.23. So I'm going to come in here with my pen, and I'm going to mark that guy who's right here. I'm going to mark him 0.23. I'm going to draw an arrow to it. And I'm going to go find my next one that's facing straight up and down. I think from what I've seen so far, you're going to have two of the cam positions adjacent to each other. So again, I'm going to try that 0.25 median. See if I can get it up underneath there. Pretty tight still. I do. Where's my wrench? Okay, get the wrench.
Oof.
I'm going to go ahead and slightly turn this. There's a space right here I can put a 15/16 inch wrench on. I'll make sure it's straight up and down. Just turn it a little bit. It's about as much as I'm comfortable doing. Again, still a little too tight. So let's try the 0.23 gauge. These are really thin. It's 0.25. There's two 0.25s on this thing. These are oiled, they're a little slippery. Get this in here. 0.23 fits good. All right, so that's fine. That's within the realm of possibilities. I'm going to mark that one on my sheet as well, and I'm just going to go around all of the different cam spots after rotating the engine and take those measurements and make sure that they're all within range. If they're not within range, you have to actually take these camshafts off with all these bolts, and there's a little disc underneath the cam on top of the valve that you would have to change out and actually change the thickness of that little plate. So hopefully I don't have to do that here at 20 hours. That might be something you want to consider taking into the dealership if you have to do, because first of all, in my opinion, it shouldn't be out of range at only 20 hours. You ought to get that work done for free, but we'll see what they say. So again, putting it all back together, you're going to put your cover back on. These bolts, there's a torque value listed in the owner's manual, but again, it's just a rubber RTV type O-ring they've put on. So I would do it just hand tight plus a quarter turn, and then put your plugs back in. Your cover has to align with the three plugs. There's a little gasket over here. You got to put your three plugs back in, just so you're gonna have to play around with that a little bit when you're putting that back on. These Phillips head screws that go on top to hold this plate on, again, just hand tight plus a quarter turn probably. There's a torque value listed in the manual. Hope this helps. This was a lot of research to find this. Someone thankfully had posted the service manual on Dropbox, and so I was able to get enough out of it to kind of work through this myself. But hopefully this video will help those out there wanting to tackle this themselves and not spend 8 hours of labor at probably $125 an hour. Save you some money, get this done yourself. $10 filler gauge. That's it. That's all it costs, folks. All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.